Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are happy to start this webinar, Deploy Business Center in LATAM with the right localization strategy. Now, I'll give the floor to David, who will guide us through the session.
Thank you, Luz. Good morning. Please let me know if you guys are able to see my screen. Luz, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So today we're gonna talk about deploying Dynamics Business Central in Latin America with the right localization strategy. This is a little bit about the agenda. We're gonna talk about who we are, our services, why localization matters in Latin America, our value proposition, implementation business central model, and we're gonna open for some Q&A. Who we are, LLB Solutions is a Microsoft partner specialized in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. We help companies and partners worldwide to meet Latin American tax and accounting requirements with the ready-to-go deployment localization. You're gonna see later how our localization program works. We're gonna go step by step so you understand. What defines us? Prove regional experience with over 300 localization implementations. 100% Spanish and English speaking technical and functional team. This is a fast deploy and implementation business model. You will see it in this presentation. And we have worldwide strategic alliances with Microsoft partners in all over. We got Asia partners that work with us. We got European partners that work with us, US partners, and of course, local Latin American partners that work with us. Okay. I would like to mention that we're not a traditional partner. We focus more in the localization, and we work a lot with partners that they use our localization for their customers. Sometimes we work with customers directly. It all depends, but mostly with partners. Okay. Our services, again, LATAM localizations. We got 16. We're gonna go over those today. Of course, we do support to partners, different programs that we offer to partners like trainings, demo, pre-sale documents, everything around the localization. Okay. Dynamics 365 implementation. Sometimes worldwide partners, they ask us to do rollouts or the business central in Latin America, and we work with them on the implementation. And also we do have another vertical that is focused in retail. It's called LLB Retail, and of course we work with partners on implementing that solution too. Okay, this is pretty much what we focus on, and today we're just gonna talk about localizations. What is critical, the localization in Latin America? Basically, without this component, it's impossible to work in Latin America. Every Latin American country has a unique tax and legal requirements. They're all different. Some of them, they have electronic billing, some others they don't. Electronic billing is mandatory in most of the Latin American countries. We cover 16 countries, and I believe, I'm probably wrong, 14 of them electronic billing is required. Compliance is a non-negotiable to have a safety operation. Of course, we're gonna meet all the accounting, invoicing, tax filing, and automation reports for the localizations. Okay, so it's a really important component in order for a company to use business centers in Latin America. So localization is key in the deploy of business central. Common challenges with our proper localization. there will be a lot of manual process and a lot of risks for errors, unexpected costs for custom development if you don't have the right localization, have maintenance expenses for legal and technical updates. Remember that Business Central updates have two big waves, one in April, one in October. Those updates require us to update also the localization. So all of our localization are in the latest version. We maintain those in the latest version of Business Central. As well, we maintain those on the legal changes, legal requirements for each of the country. There is a risk of have some fines or legal issues if you don't meet the legal requirements. And one of the challenges is have a poor scalability and limited control of the ERP or Business Central. Okay. These are the countries that we cover with our localization. They all in AppSource. So all of our localization been through the process to be published in AppSource, which is key. We have Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Uruguay. All those are the localization that we have, and we also have another one that we call LATAM. LATAM allow us to have any of these localization in a single production environment. If a company have a multi-country operations, I highly recommend the LATAM version, because in one single production environment they can have all these 16 countries, or they can say, okay, I just want 5, I just want Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, for example, or Mexico, Colombia, Guatemala. They can pick and choose which country in one single production environment. Each of the country has to be implemented independently, because they are different localization. They're all different. So, and some of them they have electronic billing or they don't. So even though the customer pick the LATAM localization, each of the localization that they want to implement with the LATAM version must be implemented independently. Okay. This is some resources important for us to share this. I always talk about this. I think it's important because all of our localization, they are in AppSource. If you see here, you see the links of the AppSource of each of them, the website. We have a brochure and a video demo on how the localization works. So it's not only that we promote this, but we show you how our localization works for each of the country. I think this is important for the customers and partners to actually see how, what is the localization, what we cover and everything else. Okay, we will be sharing this presentation at the end with a follow-up email for you guys to have this information. A localization cost model, there are two components. One of them is the implementation. In the implementation, we are going to talk about how the implementation process. We pretty much try to identify the different industry scenarios, adjust if it is necessary. We can implement our localization either in the cloud version or the on-premise version. We need to identify that before we start the implementation process. And then there is a licensing. With the licensing, we cover 3 important things. Of course, access to the localization, like I mentioned before, the update of the localization in the new Business Central versions. As you know, we're already in version 26.2. So all of our localization, we maintain it on the latest versions. And any new fiscal or tax requirements, that's part of the licensing that the customer pays. So we maintain the localization in two ways, in the latest version of Business Central and on the new requirements of the localization. Just to give you an example, we're just gonna be releasing in the next couple of weeks Costa Rica new requirements for the 4.4, and that has changed a lot from the previous Costa Rica localization. So there's a lot of changes on Costa Rica. To give you an idea, none of our customers are paying a dime on getting this update. That's part of the licensing that they pay. Okay. What we offer, what the localization offer actually, automate tax and accounting process, continuous update with legal changes, like I mentioned before, a pre-bill deployment extension, full support, a friendly business model for both partners and clients. Like I said, if you're interested in any other localization, we got plenty of resources for us to share, actually with the scope. Our implementation approach is a phase-based model, tailored by country. We're going to talk about that. All the implementation is done remotely across the region. We got a team all over, not only the US, but some people in Europe and some people in Latin America working on the implementation of the localization. And also our localization, like I mentioned before, work with the cloud and on-premise version of Business Central. Okay. A little bit about the scope of the implementation, how we implement Business Central. In some cases, we implement Business Central from zero and then the localization. Most of the time, we work with partners, so they give us Business Central already configured with all the processes from the customer, all the data master, everything that is required. And the way we work, the first thing we do with the customers is have a discovery call to understand their different scenarios for localization. And when I say different scenarios, we need to understand, in which industry the customer is, what type of taxes or scenarios they having, if they have some exemption. We need to discover everything on that call, just to make sure our localization is meeting the requirements. And if there is something that we need to do extra, report or something, discover that in that first call. Okay. The second step, we do an assessment on Business Central. We pretty much go over the Business Central localization, making sure Business Central is being configured correctly, and there is nothing missing for the localization to work properly. Okay. Then we move into the installation. For us to install, we need some application in Azure to control the localization. We need the list of users, and then we move to the configuration. We do everything in production environment, all the configuration in production environment. When we have done the uploading of the catalogs and codes, we ask for a copy of that production environment to a test environment, a sandbox environment, and then right there is when we're gonna start doing the testing, internal testing. Then we're gonna test the integration that we have with the electronic billing company. And when all the testing is done, we prepare an environment for training. We set up the training with the users. Those are probably 3 sessions of 2 hours each. And we show them how the localization works. We teach them how to configure if they have, a new vendor, customer. and we give them a document that they need to show us the test. It's a testing document. We leave the customer in a testing mode. They're gonna have between 1 or 3 weeks to do their testing, and before they go live, they have to turn in the testing document. We don't go live without that, making sure that the customer had done all the testing required to go live. Then we set up a go live date. And when they go live, they enter into a priority support. They have a week of priority support on the localization. We pretty much set up like a call every day for a week, just to make sure everything's going fine, or answer any questions that they have. And after that, if the customer needs an extra support, they can enter into an enhancement plan, and they can get some, support plans from us. This is like a program, like an implementation scope. These, in our experience, would take between 3 to 6 weeks, but it's all depends on the customer how to move. It's really important for the process to flow correctly, that the customer is prepared for this. Okay. Some of the benefits from this strategy. First, we trying to do everything as possible. We want to make sure we need the time that we promise that we implement this, but make it super easy for the customers. Okay. The strategy is, customers or clients that are looking to scale within the central, they can do it smoothly in the Latin America. Partners that work with us, they can get a robust, reliable localization, and multi-companies or companies that have multi-countries, they can have like standardized process with it. So those are some of the benefits that they gave to with our localization. But I just want to mention those. With that, I want to thank you, everybody that is in this webinar.